Hello everybody and welcome to another round of the iGPFun Super Formula Lights League here from Silverstone. It is closing in on the end of our season and in 3 weeks time we will know the name of our winner. Silverstone, Bathurst and Spa will decide our champion in the second season of 2025 in the iGPFun Super Formula Lights League here on the JP YouTube channel. As always, it's myself, Ewan O'Leary, and dear Biggles alongside me this time around. Good to be back alongside you for this one, Biggles. That's quite a run of tracks, by the way. Silverstone, Bathurst and Spa to end out our season. Have a look at that. We're going to have a fantastic end to the season with a championship on the line. This is going to be very exciting indeed.
This is absolutely crucial to a race too, because anything can kind of happen in Bathurst, isn't it? You can have a massive pile up there. You get a lot of damage to your car, and that race could very much be over. So that's basically like your Monaco as well. I tell you, got to get right up the front there and stay up the front on that one. Spa, of course, is just fantastic. It's the temple of speed essentially in Europe. So, but tonight, of course, we are at the other British temple of speed, and of course, the birthplace of motor racing at Silverstone.
Absolutely, it's a great venue to go at, and we've had championships settled in the past through here, by the way, as well. Even if you think all the way back to the F3 days, actually, we've had championships settled even in the very last laps. But are we going to get that this time round, I wonder? Well, Antonio Jimenez is hoping to make sure not. These are the total points they've accumulated this season, by the way, and he accumulated more than anybody else. 7 more, in fact, than Denny Kuhn, with Robert Ridgway in third, Max Invictus fourth ahead of Penin Arian, with Jakub Olszewski into sixth position. Mamet Tachi is in seventh ahead of Ludovic Rasson, 7 points further behind Simon Festi, with Luca Varani rounding out the top 10. Eddie Amos is 11th ahead of Scott Taylor, with Andy Flint next, Adam Talsma, and then a big jump back to the rest who are further down the field. If you start to apply the drop weeks though, and apply 2 drop weeks that are going to be applied when the season ends, you suddenly get a 17-point gap for Tony Jimenez, which is obviously a big dramatic reduction on that. Dennis Cornu with a great chance at bringing that right down here in these final rounds, and we'll see if he can. Olszewski is only 1 point further behind, by the way, with Ridgway a further 14 back, then Simon Fessi a further 12 points back. So it all gets a lot closer as you start to apply the 2 drop weeks. And that's, I think, one of the good things about this series, to be honest. You're always in the game almost in this championship because of those 2 drop weeks, even if you have a couple of bad rounds over the course of the 12 in this series.
We'll go down to the finishing of the qualifying coming up in a moment. We'll have an idea who's going to have a shot, my friend there, Ewan, at getting on the front row of the grid here this evening.
Absolutely. That qualifying is just coming towards a close. And at the moment, it is Boris Lezen who's got the fastest time as we follow Thomas Ruggier trying to overhaul him just for the moment here. He's currently set a 49.2, by the way. A couple attempts quicker and he will be on pole, and that's a purple third sector as well from Ruggier here as he's gone through the Magnussen Beckett section. That's not where he picked it up from. I think that's the sector right at coming out of Luffield and on the way up in towards Copse Corner. This is the final sector now beginning as we get to Stowe, not improving this time round, but Thomas Ruggier will be hoping that that third sector is pulling him towards a pole position at the moment ahead of Lizen, who is currently leading the way. Down onto the brakes now into the final corner. They go, the final chicane rather. He now comes, Thomas Ruggier. Let's see what the time is going to be. Nicely on the power on the exit, and he comes over the line. Now it is going to be close to his previous best, but it's not going to be better than Lizen, I don't think. He does improve, there you go, but he's only just over 2 tenths behind his previous best. What about the others? Tony Jimenez still out there at the moment. Robert Ridgway as well. Pablo Fernandez going pretty strongly at the moment, although he hasn't set a time yet, so that's why he's got personal best across the board. He's not going to trouble the scorers particularly. Tony Jimenez, though, might. He is currently in 5th position. And, well, is he improving? The bottom of the screen says no. Same to Robert Ridgway as Ridgway goes over the line. That's going to be no improvement, I don't think, for him. He starts that lap in 11th. He's going to stay in 11th. What about Jimenez here as he comes through Stowe Corner? Now down on the brakes in towards that final chicane. And he'll Get the power on nicely on the final corner. Actually, just all about opening up that final turn. Make sure you don't have to lift from there on right the way down to the brakes at turn 3. Jimenez goes over the line. That might not be too bad, but no, it's not quite as quick as what he's managed before. So he's behind Olszewski, importantly, for the championship, one of his main championship rivals. He'll start one position behind him.
It's going to be interesting, but you can overtake, obviously, here at Silverstone. It's one of those great tracks that's got it all. And it should not be a snooze fest like the Monaco GP. So if you've already seen the Monaco GP or haven't seen it, just tune into the 5 minutes worth of highlights, and I'm pretty sure you save yourself a lot of time. And of course, we don't know what's happening with the Indy 500, so don't let us know as well too. I'm going to watch the highlights of that one back later on. But more importantly, we're going to be enjoying this one, as you can just see. Sake, is it just going off the track there, because that is it for our qualifying session.
It pretty much is. Sometimes these qualifying sessions do take a little while to end, so do bear with it for the next couple of moments. Just worth noting, by the way, Tony Jimenez hasn't won since the Road America race all that time ago. Week 3, that was, of Season 2 in 2025. He has been on the podium on every race after that, other than at the Nürburgring, where he was where he wasn't on the top 3 positions. But on that occasion, he finished inside the top 5. So he's been inside the top 5 on every single occasion so far, and that means effectively he's dropping a 5th place finish from his score. If he finishes outside the top 5 in that case, it doesn't really matter. He will still be gaining points on the others in his championship battle, as long as they don't finish in the top 5, of course. And so far, to my knowledge, I haven't seen Dennis Cornu here tonight, so I'll get confirmation of that as we get towards the race start here. But if that is true, and one of his closest championship rivals is not here, then that is a big, big advantage for Tony Jimenez. Anyway, let's have a look at the front of this race. And Borjas Lezen, who's taken the pole position. Thomas Ruggier just alongside with Yunus Amal and Jakub Olszewski sharing row 2. It's Tony Jimenez in 5th position, ahead of Alex Aguero with Andy Flint in 7th place, Kevin Barnard in 8th. Dennis Cornu is in 9th place. Apologies, didn't see him in the top 10 there. There he is. Badin Ayan alongside. Then it is Robert Ridgway and Alexis de Klerk. Rounding out the top 12. Mehmet Tachi and Patrick Williams are on row 7, ahead of Eddie Amos and Aiden Mascari. Then it's Darren Mashavunga with Stefan Dodderer alongside, just over a second off pole is Clark Wood. And Mark Lovey, who rounds out the top 20. Koji Ito is 21st, ahead of Jacques Willems with Van Nguyen and Adam Townsma on row 12. And then those at the back end of the field, some of whom actually didn't qualify, will start below 24th and towards the back end of the field, ready for this race. But and there they are indeed, actually. Dorian Arroyo, Abel Trinado, Paul Distelli, and then those who didn't qualify, Pablo Hernandez and Leonard Cherry. Let's see then, as the drivers get themselves onto the grid. It will take a couple of moments' time here at Silverstone, as it always does. But this run down towards turn 1 is going to be a very, very important one indeed. And, well, if Jimenez is to lose this championship from here, he does need a bad result somewhere down the line, and Cornu needs a very good result somewhere down the line as well. With Jimenez in the top 5 again, it's very, very difficult to see a way in which he can lose this championship from here, unless he has a bad race this evening, preferably for those who are trying to catch him outside of the top 17 or so. And so that means his drop week is sufficient enough for them to gain some points. But let's see if he does indeed secure that top position here tonight. 25 laps of racing here from Silverstone in the iGPFun Super Formula Lights League. 10th round of Season 2 in 2025. We're underway with a great launch from Luzen, with Reggian alongside, not getting anywhere here. It was Yunus Amal going backwards off the start here, I think, but he's going to maintain 3rd place at least, ahead of Olszewski, and then Jimenez in towards turns 1, 2 and 3. They all get into single file, and now the no active overtakes will have to come into play, and it will get single file here. Everybody's going to have to be careful through this first sector before they can really let loose on the way down the straight. And as you can see, everybody pretty much staying in qualifying order as they're meant to off of the start of this race.
Yeah, exactly, as you've seen there. So everybody is behaving themselves, and very soon they're going to get that opportunity to go green, green, green for overtakes, as you can see in the background, just starting to curve the field. But so far, I'd have to say absolutely so good. Nobody onto the kitty litter. All the cars, as you can see on the track, pointing in the right direction.
That is a very big relief for absolutely everybody here as they now make their way out of Luffield and on the way towards Copse Corner once again here. Lizen currently leading the way ahead of Rizien, then Yunus Amal next in line, Jakub Olszewski, then Tony Jimenez with another top 5 as he's managed on 9 occasions already this season. Can he manage it all over again here at the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit? In towards Maggots and Beckett's they go. It's a real slipstream track at times, this one, and you can see that with the run through the field there. 19 cars all covered with gaps less than a second here, and Jimenez is under pressure from Alex Aguedo. Who's going to get the slipstream here? It looks like Jimenez, who's just going to get it, and he'll get his nose in front here. Aguedo looks to the outside, he lifts off in fact, and he says to Jimenez almost, get in line and let's catch up to the front 4 in this race.
Yeah, I'm sure they're getting the memos on that one. But you have seen in the previous races as well too, Tony's been very gingerly on this one. He knows that he's got a championship lead here, and he knows he's not going to throw it all the way here at the moment. If he's going to allow somebody to get through past him, he will. He'll fight him later on in this one. But there is a fight for P2.
Yeah, Lizian's going to get away as a result of this. Rizien having to defend from Amal, and then Olszewski here as they come through turns 1, 2, and then in towards 3, but not going to get anywhere there. Little look down the inside from Byland. Kevin Byland on Alex Aguedo, and that was a pretty late move in towards turn 3. Kevin Byland's going to be on the outside at turn 4 though, and that could be a bit difficult. Andy Flint is going to benefit from that as well here. He's going to pop him into the bottom of his screen, and now Jimenez gives the slipstream to Aguedo, and so that's going to be very difficult for Byland to get anywhere, but he's still got good speed here actually. Fair play on the straight, outside line in towards Brooklands, and he'll go all the way round here if possible to the inside at Luffield at the end of it. Oh, contact between him and Aguedo, who goes around. Alex Aguedo, who was running in 6th position, spins and drops outside the top 10.
You saw in the picture, it didn't take much of these Super Formula lights, isn't it, to come off the track there when they get a little bit of contact. Tell you what, the race leader at the moment has started to build that gap there, almost shy of 2 seconds, as this battle, huge battle for the second place at the moment that's forming on your pictures.
Look at that, side by side, Amal and Olszewski, and Amal just holds on. That was close. A good battle between the two of them as well, though. And Jakub Olszewski can't quite come through. Dennis Cornu was slightly off the track there in the background, by the way, but he's okay. They're all in this one long line, all the way down to 14th position, battling over 3rd place now. They let the leader get away in a battle for 2nd. Now they're letting the front 2 get away in a battle for 3rd, and that was Olszewski having a very late look on Amal in towards Stowe Corner.
Yeah, just trying to throw the dummy just to throw him off at the moment. He's further back at the moment. That's a slowdown or something that's happened here to Dennis, because he's going very slow. If we see somebody else, that's Jimenez. Oh, Tony.
The championship leader off the road and back on again with no damage, but with, or has he got damage? It looks like he might well do. Oh my goodness, the championship leader suffering with damage here by the looks of things. In towards turn. Oh, there's a car stopped on the circuit. Kevin Byland. Oh my word. This is turned ugly here at Silverstone for some of these drivers, and they're not quite seeing him here.
He's stuck.
Trying to get the wheels going
He's
again.
stuck.
Byland is trying to get spinning again, but he can't get anywhere here. And Byland has to go back to the pit lane. Stefan Donner is already back to pit lane. Is Jimenez continuing on here? And does he have damage? Well, he's still going, but how bad's the damage here? It's pretty bad. Look at that. The right hand down significantly. He's got rear right damage on that car right now.
He's in big trouble. Yeah, exactly. Even if he nurses at this speed, he's going to get eaten alive by the rest of the field there. He's 12 positions down currently on that one. Let's go back quickly and have a look at what's happened to our championship leader. Contact! Oh, that's exactly the reason why. And these cars aren't built to go off-roading as well, too. And I don't know if he was just a little bit too slow into the corner there. Was he playing it too safely? It's hard to say, isn't it? But there, oh,
that's so much netcode there. That's a lot of netcode there. And I think it's Kevin Byland, by the way, makes contact with. And so suddenly this championship has been blown wide open.
That's Kevin.
That is a technical problem for Kevin Byland.
Yeah,
he is not in control of that car.
That had to be maybe the damage from what happened before that you saw that on your pictures when they come together. So there we go.
That's a weird one. That is a weird one. But there we go. Byland and Jimenez significantly damaged. And suddenly there is a big chance for the others in this championship to keep this alive at least for another week. And it will do going into the last 2 weeks, because Jimenez's worst 2 scores, if the race were to end right now, would be 5th place and 24th place, or 25th rather, and he's going to drop even further than that. He's going to be 27th, so that would be a cumulative possible gain of 30 which means anyone within 30 points of him going into the next 2 rounds would be in with a shout of the championship. If that stays the same, then that leaves at least Cornu and Olszewski in with a chance. Olszewski at the moment, though, would indeed gain a point and get even closer. Cornu would lose some at the moment because he's down in 9th position. This is further down, by the way. This is what Jimenez left. So even if he wasn't damaged, he'd still be right in the real rowdy pack here at the lower end of the field.
Yeah, it's safe, I'd say, to go in pit because the car's just undrivable. And at that point, too, there's a risk of collisions with these other drivers as well, too. His night would definitely be out. But we'll see if we get that car patched up there, if they can, and get out there and maybe do a damage recovery drive. I mean, he's got the speed. Certainly come back through there and try to maximise any scraps of points that you can possibly get. Because, as I said, too, as well, this is Silverstone where you usually don't have... I'm seeing a car just blinking at the moment. This is Silverstone where you usually don't have... as many, let's say, full say wrecks than possibly what could happen there at Bathurst. So you've just got to get your head down and try to come back because that's one of those rounds that some of those drivers might be electing to use as a drop round if we get carnage there.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to be worried about that. 3 wide nearly on the way towards Maggots and Beckett's, and everybody's figuring out how they can let the others through and how they can get themselves out of this. Goodness me, they all just about manage it, though, through the S's. Kevin Barling comes into YouTube chat, and a commiserations, a good evening to him. Says that there was network issues with iRacing and himself. Sorry to anyone that I got in the way of. That is a real shame, but thanks for coming in and clarifying, Kevin, for that one. It's a shame for... Tony Jimenez, though, who was unfortunately caught up in that. Just not a lot that anybody can do when there's connection, technical problems like that.
Yeah, and that's the contact. I don't like to rewind it too much, but I'll just go back and have a look at it. And that's, as to be explained as well, too, from Kevin, that's just something that he couldn't do with that. It just seemed to be too far-fetched, wasn't it, for a driver of his caliber to make a mistake like that. That's completely just... as you said, straight in there, bang. And then Kevin, unfortunately...
I would presume...
Yep.
Sorry, I would presume that he carried on driving with the network issues, that, as he said, but he couldn't see anybody here at this point. And at this point, well, not sure what was happening at all here, but thankfully nobody came through and collected him. And said that there were problems earlier, but fixed them... He fixed them earlier, Kevin says. Worked for an hour, but disconnected him in the race. Lost them on the Hanger Straight before the Stowe corner and the chicane, and so that does explain a lot. So as I say, he wouldn't have been able to see Tony Jimenez there. That's why it looks like he's driven over him like he wasn't there, because on Kevin's screen he wasn't there. That is just a real shame for everybody involved, unfortunately. Patrick Williams and Clark Williams, meanwhile, into side by side and towards Maggots and Beckett's, with Mehmet Tachi just watching on from 12th position in behind for this battle in the last spot inside the top 10.
Yeah, he's watching the Williams and Williams show up the road there, and that's not a lot for him. That's 2 drivers in separate teams there and from separate nations. It's USA versus England up the road there. As you can see, the Turkish driver of Taski is just going to sit back, relax, and enjoy this one. He's got the popcorn in the cockpit there with him as well, too. He'll reach in there and grab a couple of bits of corn and enjoy that show.
Absolutely. And so will Laguardo, actually, who's recovering from his spin earlier on. He's now in the game as well. Went for that spin at Luffield, as we saw at the time, and as you said, it doesn't take much to take these cars around. You can see that because Aguero hasn't got damage here, but he did spin round and lose all that time, as we already complete 5 laps in this race, by the way. Only 25 in the race, and that was a bit of unwise weaving from Mehmet Tachi. Now Aguero is going to be on the outside of him, braking later as well. He's going to get the inside for the next corner as well, which could be the moment. Here he is, inside line for Aguero. No chance. Well, I say that. Now he goes wide, Mehmet Tachi, and through goes Alex Aguero.
Yeah, got the job done on that one. So all of a sudden you're thinking, Taski was thinking about battling these 2 up the road there and ended up having to concede that position to Alex. But here we go, the Williams and Williams show. Leaders are getting a little bit battle too for that P3 position. We'll go back up to that in a second, but this is where you can throw a blanket over in this race currently at the moment.
Yeah, you certainly can. Oh dear, a little bit wide. And here, meanwhile, comes Olszewski and Amal. Yunus Amal has to give up that position to Jakub Olszewski, who now gained 2 points tonight on Tony Jimenez and move ahead of Tez Cornu in the championship, by the way. And he would be only 16 points behind Tony Jimenez, although he would need Jimenez to have another bad round next week at Mount Panorama. But as you said, you want to go into next week with good drop weeks in your back pocket so that you're not relying on results particularly, because anything can happen at Bathurst, as we know.
And he's got to get his qualifying up the front as well too. So That's what you've got to be focusing on right now. It's probably in his racing rig. Well, he is out on the track, isn't he? So I was going to say he hasn't retired a session yet, but straight out of this track and into Bathurst to practice for that one. Get yourself up the front there and let all that carnage unfold behind you as the Williams and Williams show still occurring here. Taski's on the back of him. He might make this 3 wide.
Whoa, not quite. And Aguero's going to take advantage again, but he's going to get into the back there of Clark Williams. Oh, and very nearly into the side of Tachi as well. That was super close as they came through the chicane there. This is getting out of hand now. Pascari has now caught up. Again, 3 wide. Tachi on the very inside. 2 Williams on the outside. Oh, and it's Clark Williams who has to just back out of that there. And Pascari came flying in on the scene. I think he might have made contact with Aguero. Now they're nearly 3 wide again. Tachi on the inside of Clark Williams again. Oh, my word. This is getting very, very out of hand indeed. Aguero's still on the inside line here. What a battle we're having here. Patrick Williams is gone. It's left to Clark Williams now to defend the second name. And now there's contact. Clark Williams rather goes off the circuit into the barriers, and that'll be the end of him tonight.
Oh, we knew it was breeding up to something, wasn't it, between those drivers, and you're getting four drivers. Is almost like a NASCAR race, isn't it? All bunched up together, and unfortunately, there had to be some contact occurring, and that was the case. So one of the Williams is down, Clark Williams.
That is a real shame. They're not related, by the way, Patrick and Clark Williams. They're from different sides of the world, but they were battling away for a while there. And unfortunately, it's Clark Williams who's come off second best in that one. In this big group, it's actually allowed Pascari to catch up, as I mentioned. Jack Williams is here now as well, though. Koji Ito catching up. Here's Alex Aguero. He seems to take 1 step forward, 2 steps back in this race. He's back to 14th again now.
That's an interesting racing line to get into Beckett Smackers Chapel with at the moment, wasn't it? Never see that very often. Goes really wide and stops the car.
Out.
That's an interesting. Yeah, must have had some technical issue as well. Joining the technical club there with Kevin earlier.
Maybe. Or some damage he didn't want to persist with. I don't know. But it's all giving Tony Jimenez some more positions, by the way. And if he gets far enough up the field, he might be able to seal the championship still tonight. But we will keep an eye on that one for you. Careful, through turn, the final turn rather. Through the final chicane, and Tashi there under big pressure from Adrian Pascari here on board in towards turn number 1, and Tashi keeps doing that, weaving around, then missing the apex at turn 1.
Exactly.
Where's Tashi going? He can lose some time. Here he comes. Oh no, not going to get down the inside this time. Tashi's still a bit wild though. Wide at turn 3 this time. Still on the defensive here.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, Taski's has taken a completely different racing line into this one, like it's like a wet racing line or something like that. I don't know. But it's allowing him to lose too much speed here, and momentum's going completely to Adrian Paskey's way at the moment. So just being too defensive, perhaps. You've just got to be focusing on your own racing at the moment. Get up the road there and form a gap, but that's not his plan.
It's a little bit bizarre. I mean, it's difficult when you're towing people around like this, and I get that you want to weave around to try and get rid of them, get them out of your slipstream, but you know, you're just costing yourself so much time by doing that. This is the battle for second place, but there's not much weaving around going on, but maybe Thomas Rigien will start to, because he's got Jakub Olszewski right in behind him here. Jonas Amal is next involved, then it's Ayan and Flint, who are just in the background as well. 5 drivers starting to close in for this one, and Olszewski needs every single point he can muster. In towards the Stowe corner he goes. Outside line for Olszewski. That will be spectacular around the outside, and he's not going to manage it.
Yeah, it would be, but he can get a good run here into club, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while since I've been at Silverstone. Don't hit those big bumps on the inside of the chicane there. These cars are super light and they will fly through the air.
Yeah, you've got to avoid those curbs at all costs, if possible. Those sausage curbs. Unfortunately, there are still some at that chicane, but not too many around here. They'll be thankful. Lizen still leads, though, by 5 seconds. We're about a third of the way through this race now already, and this is going to be a battle that looks like it's going to persist here for second position. And Lizen with some small technical problems, so it looks like he might well offer up an opportunity if he disconnects to have a battle for the race win here, but not just for the moment here, as Rigien continues to lead ahead of Jakub Olszewski in towards Brooklands corner. He's not going to get anywhere this time round. Thomas Rigien holds on again.
The French duo are at it again. Alex Leclerc there and Dennis, they're going to be going for it too for now, the teammates there. They do that generally all race long, just as long as they don't keep that gap to Patrick Williams there and P10 behind them, they should be okay. But I don't know, these two are so always almost identical on track all the time, and generally every single race that we ever go to here in the iGPFun, you always see those two on track. So we will go back, keep that battle going, but that battle will be going for another 17 laps, no doubt. And first rule, of course, of racing is do not take your teammate out.
Well, exactly. You've got to make sure you abide by the first rule, as Yunus Amal will indeed just home in onto the back of these guys a little bit now as he gets a little bit closer to Olszewski and Rizien in towards Stowe Corner. Declare and Cornu meanwhile go side by side, teammates in the background for 8th position. Dennis Cornu needs all the points he can get as well. I'll work out in a little bit of time just what position all these guys need to be in to stay involved in the championship fight here, but Cornu's in danger of slipping out of it here tonight, despite the fact he comes into the day 2nd place in the points. He moves up to 8th place though, and he's got the assistance of a teammate. I believe they're teammates anyway. They're in the same livery, just in behind him. Yeah,
exactly. So they're going to go for it up the front there. We're still seeing some actions. Meanwhile, this battle is actually helping because our race leader just banked in a 149. The first one to hit the 49 clubs here this evening. So he's saying, thank you very much. That's okay. Soon I want him to see he's in my mirrors. He'll be on his way, basically packing up into the garage there and getting on the next flight over to Mount Panorama in Australia, mate, at the rate he's going.
Side by side, here it is again. Rizien versus Olszewski in towards Brooklands Corner, and Olszewski goes through. Pretty easily done there, but you can't take anything for granted here. You've got to be careful of the re-overtake here by Thomas Rizien as he looks for the late apex. Has he quite got the traction there? I'm not sure, but it's not going to be in towards Copse Corner, you wouldn't imagine. Anyway, he will just have to wait a little bit of time, or is he going to go for it here? He's getting close enough, but no, he decides to back off, and Yunus Amal will do the same as well on the way towards Copse Corner. Rizien going to wait for the latter portion of this lap to give this a go.
He's not going to do a Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton moment, isn't it? A high-speed collision into that wall will hurt your chances in this one, and especially if a lot of points up for grab, knowing the fact that Tony Jimenez is down there in P25. But he's still out on track, and he's trying to get damage limitation here at the moment on lap 10:25.
Well, he's close there, Amal, again, but no way through this time round. As into Stowe Corner. Oh, it's a little bit wide for Thomas Rizien. Yunus Amal just gains time again here. Looks up the inside in towards the final chicane, but does not go through. Out of right-hander and onto the front straight again here. Rizien and Olszewski in his sights. And again, they lose time to the leader. There goes Rizien to the side of the road and lets Yunus Amal go through.
Very interesting. We want to see some more battles happening at the moment. There is Ewan here and Patrick. He's just got past Patrick Williams in that battle there, and O'Cherry's a little bit further down the field from them, but it'll be on the back of them in no time flat. Then you got the battle of the Portuguese or Spaniards. I'm quite sure between both of those, Pablo there and Trinidado. And you can see in the further background the Tron-esque livery there of Eddie Amos, who's battling it out there with Adam Telsma.
Yeah, it's always very easy to spot is Eddie Amos, and we're thankful for that. There goes Mashavunga down the inside in the meantime, ahead of Mark Lovey into 17th. There's some big groups further down the field. And in fact, they're all through the field actually now. We saw early on in the race the field get quite spread out quite quickly actually, but it is... no, not a chance this time around for Lovey. It is starting to become a little bit more like what you'd expect. There is the easily spottable Eddie Amos, 22nd position, as he just tries to home in on Adam Towns. But these are the kind of groups that Tony Jimenez is trying to catch.
Yeah, he'd be loving these battles for them up the road there, because he may be able to steal a couple of places away from them, especially if they get into each other as well. So we've seen a little bit of contact already occurring here around Silverstone as everybody's trying to scrabble to get themselves a position or two. Sorting itself out the front at the business end of this race at the moment. As you can see, there's about half a second gap separating the battle for P2.
Here comes Jerry on Patrick Williams, by the way. He was going to get close there on the way towards Stowe Corner. Yep. And there he goes in towards the corner. As Sherry goes through just about decisively. And Patrick Williams, who's been caught again here. He distanced a group beforehand, by the way, but he's now back right in a big group again here. Outside line. Oh, those lines were converging. But Williams just enough there on the outside line to stay in front of Necessary. Now Nguyen and Lovey and Machavunga all catching up as well. Another big group, 5 drivers in this one.
Good racing, Silverstone. It's just always fantastic racing around Silverstone. We get to see that. But so I'm surprised about the weaving a lot, isn't it? Trying to break the slipstream. But, and almost too wide, as we saw through Beckett's Mackinton Chapel as well, too. That's not something you see very often in motor racing, but you're going to see it here tonight on iGPFun.
There comes Sherry again. It's just endless here at the midfield and back end of the field groups. Absolutely endless battling going on. By the way, with Tony Jimenez down in 25th position, anybody needs to be within 28 at the end of today. At the moment, Olszewski would be getting to 14 points only behind, I think. No, 15 behind rather, as Sherry keeps his position ahead of Williams. Olszewski would be gaining 3 points, so yes, would be 15 points behind. Dennis Cornu would be losing 4 points, but probably 3 when you consider that's his teammate just in front. So he'd be 20 behind. We'd still have 3 for the championship, but Tony Jimenez has got a decent chance of catching up to groups like these, to be honest, before the end of this race. We're only halfway through here, and there's plenty of time left. Machabunga now, meanwhile, goes through, tries to, on the inside line, and Mark Lovey outside for him, as down the inside for Machabunga. There goes Williams and Nguyen side by side in front of us as well. It's endless here in this midfield battle, and again, Pascari into pit lane, by the way. They'll all be promoted a place. They finally sort themselves out into this final chicane.
This will be a good run, both of them in the corner, but nowhere to go actually on the outside there. And so it will probably help Dazza, and it will. Adrian Pascari is gone somewhere. I think he's gone on the pit road, yes.
Yeah, just went to pit lane. And so Jimenez would be promoted a place, and that tightens the championship equation further with every pass he makes, as Nguyen gets down the inside of Machavunga there for 15th position quite nicely, and he'll be straight back through again, I would imagine, and Nguyen right back again, I would imagine, to 16th position. It's such a seesaw battle again. So many straights on this circuit, and it's effectively a draft circuit in these cars. Right round the outside there for Nguyen, who can't get past Machavunga, then gives space through the second part and goes for the exit, late apex, and will stay in front just about.
Oh, really goes up close on the inside barrier as well, too, to try to maximise the straight line speed through there while he's under attack from 2 cars, as you can see behind him. And this is the first time we've seen Mark, isn't it? From the PRB Racing entry. He's in this mix here. He's up 3 positions there for the 890, and he's on the back of this battle that's brewed on your pitches right now, and we'll be continuing, I'd imagine, a little bit deeper into this race, as you meant. Just over the halfway point, 12 to go.
We certainly are. 12 to go. Good afternoon, by the way, to Scott Taylor, who says, gutted to be missing my home race, but a shout out to the Ridgeway Racing drivers from the Isle of Man TT, where I'm presuming he is. I guess that is coming up soon. It must be. Oh dear, as Mark Lovey goes for a spin through Stowe Corner, and he's very nearly hit actually by Trinado, who comes straight through. Amos in the background leading the rest of them, with Tajma here is going to get through as well. Lovey pulls off the side of the road, and he'll go from one big group to another one.
Yeah, exactly. So, at least I've got cars around me. It's like when you go to that car, go to park your car at a car park, isn't it? And then you park your car all by itself in the middle of there, and then all of a sudden you come back out and somebody's parked right next to you, and you're like, you got the whole thing. But anyway, the French duo is still occurring between these two. As I said, you won't separate them too much. I swear there's some electromagnets that are on the back of these cars. They're just glued constantly throughout the whole race. And at the business, and Jacob is still up that 2 positions there in P2 and still holding off the other 2 drivers behind, although Thomas probably dropped back just a tad there in the P4 position.
For Cornu, by the way, if Jimenez doesn't finish in the top 16, he will still be involved in the championship fight, as will Jakub Olszewski, who would need a bit of a miracle really for Jimenez to eliminate him already. So it looks like that earlier trouble for Tony Jimenez has done him out of sealing the championship here tonight, although it could be next week instead. Here's Yunus Amal. He's not going through this time. I think purposely not going through as well. These 3 for second place have been close for a while, but I think they've been purposely not battling just to put some distance into the rest of the field before in the final laps they really go for it here.
Yeah, save a little bit of the tyres too, because you're seeing a lot of weaving and all that sort of stuff going on, which is going to be a little bit more punishing for the tyres. And then when push comes to shove and you need to get those overtakes done, you wait until the dying stages of that race when you can capitalise on that, and perhaps the other drivers around you have just burnt through them a little bit more, don't quite have the traction, especially through the high-speed sections. So, if Silverstone, that's when you're going to need to get that power. That's when you need to get the exit speed, and that's where you get your overtakes.
Out of turn 4 for these three again, rather. And I think we are going to... we're going to be seeing it. Oh no, is this going to happen now? I thought we were going to be waiting. No, it isn't. So Amal just picking to the inside. I don't think this is a case if he can't go through, but just won't for the moment. And so I'm sure we'll be checking in with them later on down the track as well. Those battles down towards the bottom end of the field have started to just peter out slightly. Leve and Arroyo is a 2-car battle just in behind Townsma and Amos. That was previously a 4-car group though that we were watching a little bit earlier on. And Levy just getting himself back on his feet effectively after that spin a little bit earlier. So still 10 laps to go, still plenty going on. But for these guys out front and for those championship contenders, Olszewski and Cornu, it's looking all right to keep these championship hopes alive going into the final 2 rounds of the season.
I wonder if he's still going to switcheroo at some point as well too, and allow the driver with the most points to capitalise on the situation. Of course, that Tony's down there at P23, so see whether or not that team orders will be at play. But I'll tell you what's happening at the moment here. Here's the battle between the Turkish driver and the American driver, Andy Flint.
Oh, cuts across the front there, does Ian, and Andy Flint won't get through there. He'll have to think about it somewhere else out there on the circuit. Andy Flint has yet to finish in the top 3 yet this season, by the way, and it doesn't look like that is going to change here tonight. Unfortunately for him, it's going to be top 5 at best by the looks of things. Through turn 1 there, didn't quite have the momentum to have a dive down the inside at turn 3, and will keep that position inside the top 5 just for the moment. Flint having made up just the 1 place so far. Adin has started the race, by the way, in 10th position now, up into the top 5, one of the biggest movers forward inside the top 5 so far this afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic drive, you got to say, if you're making a lot of gains, especially here at Silverstone. The other driver as well, too, is the other Williams driver in the P11 place, up 11, the number 23 car. Just having a solid parade all by himself out there, nobody around, just get your laps down, trying to catch Tasky up the road. And speaking of one Williams going around, looks like, we've had a moment here of Patrick.
Yeah, that's weird. It's going pretty slowly out of 5 as well.
Yeah,
for some reason. Let's see how. Into turn 4, and it's on the power out of the corner. There you go. Patrick Williams spins on the exit of turn 4 and will drop down the field, unfortunately, to 19th. As Amal gets close again, but no way through. 9 laps still to go in this race. A lot of waiting out front here for Yunus Amal. Makes you wonder what lap he's going to decide to finally strike here, whether he's going to wait right till the very last lap.
Yeah, he's probably surprised to see sunshine here in Silverstone as well, too. As you can see, it is a beautiful day to go racing. And the virtual world, because in the real world, it probably would be all hazy and foggy and miserable for you folks over there and in your little island. But and enjoying it.
Looks like a decent day outside, doesn't it? At the moment. But there you go, no rain this afternoon. As the gap increases to 7 seconds out front, still more waiting in this group. As I mentioned earlier, Tony Jimenez.
Yeah.
Oh dear, Patrick Williams is having to come into pit lane.
Oh, locked it up too in the entrance.
So Jimenez still needing more positions if he wants to eliminate Dennis Cornu from the championship contention here this afternoon. He'd have to bring it up to 16th position, and that does feel unlikely in the last 9 laps. He would have to make 5 more positions in the last 9 laps, and with multiple seconds in between passes that he would have to make down the back end of the field here. That does not seem particularly likely. at the moment. Further behind, I am versus Flint into the Magnussen-Beckett section as well for 5th position. And again, Flint, I'm not sure if Flint is waiting or whether he can't actually get through. Certainly, I've seen enough to suggest that Amal could go through, but just isn't. And this has got to be a good chance here for Andy Flint, and this will be a good show of whether he isn't going through or whether he can't. Well, it just that he couldn't, I suppose. Now he's going to roar through. That was a mistake from Ayan. It was clear as day, and Andy Flint has pounced on it.
It could be with those a little bit of tyre wear starting to come off the cliff a little bit from those drivers that are pushing it hard early. But Ayan's not going to just give up too much. He's going to get that slipstream very soon there. And now the chaser becomes chased. The prey and the predator. You know what I mean?
Yes. Here comes Ayan over the line. Again alongside. And again through. So Flint is finding this quite difficult at the moment by the looks of it. Every time he seems to get through, he's knocked back again pretty quickly by Badin Ayan, who is now back into the top 5 again here out of turn 4. And that's a very good exit, actually, from him as well. Now then, it's finally happening with 8 laps to go here in this race. Jonas Amal through on Jakub Olszewski, and Tomasz Ruzien as well, trying to look for a way through as well. He's not going to manage that, but maybe now there's been a bit of a halt there, a bit of a knockback of momentum here for Jakub Olszewski, who holds the inside line, and he keeps 3rd place just in front of Ruzien, but he does lose 2nd.
Yeah, he could lose 3rd any second now as well too, because there's Thomas Rion having a good little run out of the exit while he's enjoying this battle up the road. It was going to brew probably 6 or so laps earlier than what we expected, but if maybe one of those drivers did make a mistake, just go a little bit wide there, and you've got to seize the opportunity when you can. You're not going to sit back and lift and just wait for it all to pan out all over again. You can see a lot of the drivers tend to really go out wide there. Activate the DRS beep in your ear. You will not have in these cars, but if you're in a Formula 1 car, you would. And you'll be doing that later on this year. Here we go. Another opportunity up on the inside there from Jacob. Not too much of a fight on that one there, was there, from Amal?
Not that time, but he is at least trying to work out his way through this time. And this is going to be thinking about the end of the race as well. How can I be 1st place coming out of this chicane on the very last lap, coming to the checkered flag here? That's what this is all about. And that's why Amal didn't wait to the very end of the race. You can't sort of figure out where you need to be first over the line out of the 3 of them if you don't practice making overtakes. That's effectively what this is, I think, for Jonas Amal. This is practicing different ways of making overtakes, different ways of defending, and how he can be in front by the checkered flag here.
Dress rehearsal for the main show coming up, exactly. And that's what it's all about. The auditions are over, the rehearsals are in effect, and of course those curtains are going to be unrevealing who's going to be making that 2nd step on the podium potentially, because that 1st step of the podium is occupied all.
Well, this is not an attempt this time through Brooklyn. So does that mean Amal's going to leave it a little bit later on in the lap maybe to try and make a pass? As Tony Jimenez, by the way, goes past Dorian Arroyo. Now he's 4 positions behind, putting Cornu out of the championship here, but still think that could be too many. With 7 laps still to go. There's Ayan still in front of Flint, and Rigien's off. Thomas Rigien has gone off through Copse Corner, and that could be a position for everybody. No, it's going to be at least a position for a couple of drivers. He's found the wall, has he, though? Is that damage for Thomas Rigien or not? Oh, he just loses the back end on the way in here. He hasn't hit the wall, but he has lost a lot of time.
Yeah, currently at the moment he's going to have Robert Ridgway on his tailpipe pretty quickly. They're trying to capitalise once he gets all the kitty litter off his tyres to get back up to maximum racing speed. So that 3-way battle's now turned into a 2-way fight. As the French duo in the background have actually just started to separate themselves out for a little bit for now. And there he is too.
Oh, it's going from bad to worse. Going from bad to worse now for Thomas Rigien, and Dennis Cornu is going to move up to a 7th position here. So now Jimenez would require 15th or better, by the way. But anyway, this is that's not the important one here. This is probably more important here for 2nd position. It's now just Amal and Olszewski, and maybe that simplifies things a little bit. When you're battling in a trio, it's a lot more difficult to work out where you need to be coming out of the final corner on the final lap, as opposed to in a 2 where it is a bit more manageable. There's Trinado getting past Eddie Amos for 17th.
Yep. He's just down 3 places from where he started this race, but we'll go back up to the sharp end. And there's 2 battles that you can see brewing in your pictures there, the big battle for P2, the big battle for P4. And yes, but well, I mean, if you're sitting there, Tony Jimenez, you'd want to be hearing at the moment on your radio, isn't it, that they've sort of come together, or somebody's going to have to retire the car, and they'll give him some more places. That's why it's good for you to get that damage fixed and you chipped it out of the pit lane, and then continued out on track, because you never know what's going to happen in a motor race.
Well, there'll be 5 laps to go when we get to the line here, and this is for a point either way for Jakub Olszewski. Is he going to gain 3 points on Jimenez tonight, or 2? Because Jimenez's worst result so far is 5th place. That's effectively what will be carried forward. Well, so somewhere around there anyway. Well, I'll do the proper maths, obviously, before we get to the race next time around. But anyway, it is going to be a decent score for Jimenez, even though he is all the way down in 20th position. It does, though, open out the opportunities a little bit later on in the season, though, for a title finale, and indeed for things to go wrong at Bathurst next week as well. Adam Townsmer's the one just in front of him here. Tony Jimenez continues his recovery.
Well, he's going to send it, isn't he? Is he? He's got to be very cautious here, because, you know, he is on damage limitation. He could each have a little bit of a damaged car still as well, but he's going to try to fight his way past the Canadian driver, who's up 5 places in this race, and 15 places is what Tony is down on, as we're aware of. But we'll go back to that one, because that could be an extra place for him. He could be up to 19th by the end of this race. Could even be up a little bit further if these two get into each other.
And that's Cyan still in front. Still holding on from Andy Flint, who just seemed to be struggling. Yunus Amal giving it another go now into Brooklands. We've only seen this once before in this phase of the race, and Jakub Olszewski is putting up a better fight around the outside, I'd say, this time around. Inside at Luffield, he will stay ahead pretty comfortably that time round, actually. Coming out the corner, yeah, that's comfortable for Jakub Olszewski.
But he's going to be under attack now. A little bit of weaving going on there. No weaving now, gentlemen, because he's going to be straight off the speed and straight into the fence. Who wants it? Who wants it more than the other driver? That's going to be the question at the moment. When? When are you going to send it?
Big question here for Yunus Amal, and Jakub Olszewski just seems to be strong through that high-speed section towards the end of the lap here. I wonder whether that's going to play a role, and whether Amal feels he needs to be in front by that section, otherwise he's never going to beat him. But when he was in front last time, Olszewski just went straight back past again. So if that is one of his strongest sections, that gives Olszewski a really big opportunity in this race. Through Maggots and Beckett say exactly where you need to be fast if you want to stay in front of your rival, and that's exactly what's happening right now.
They both hit the inside bar. Sausage curb, as you can see there, that could smash the suspension to smithereens if you get all that one pedal shape. They both hit it, but it goes to show you at the moment whether or not Amal's actually using Jacob as a racing line himself, which is what you should never do as a race driver, of course, because if they make a mistake, you tend to copy that mistake.
Yeah, it can be difficult not to follow them straight in there, as 4 laps to go here. Coming to a conclusion in this race now, and Yunus Amal's not as close as he was last time round. Last time he had a go in towards Brooklands, but oh no, not this time. On the inside line. In fact, he's missed the apex completely there. Yeah. He won't want to do that again. Jakub Olszewski with a bit of breathing space rather this time round.
Now he's going to have to concentrate really to get that gap back up again. Yeah, so you can't afford. If you're going to lay your cards down, you've got to lay the right cards down. Otherwise, if that other driver will call your bluff, and you'll walk away from the table with the advantage. We had to take long to get poker into this. We had Ewan also had a little bit of a blink moment there for as you saw on the timing tower. So whether that's going to affect Andy Flint trying to get an overtake or not, well, we've seen unfortunate circumstances with connection issues. Hopefully it'll hold itself out there for another 4 more laps, and we can get some fantastic racing action that we're seeing in our pitches.
It's always difficult, isn't it, when you're battling with someone like that and they're blinking about a bit. That could be a bit of a hampering thing here for Andy Flint. Although, saying that, he's not actually that close to him right now. Where he needs to be is Andy Flint, so it might well be 5th place and no more for him at the moment as they get on the brakes here. Oh dear, down at the chicane. This is getting nervy between these two now. Ian still in 4th place, and to be honest, hasn't looked under too much pressure at all. We'll see if Andy Flint can apply any of that here in the in the final 3 laps as it is now. Sorry, in this race.
Yeah, both these drivers up 6 and 2 positions, so good gains between them. And certainly having to battle themselves and keep each other sharp there, so it's no smooth sailing like our race leader is smooth sailing. But further back, there is another Brew. Williams once again in the mix here. And that's with Thomas, remember, who's gone backwards, unfortunately, 9 places. Just lurking in the background, trying to do damage limitation. Just trying to get himself into that top 10 to finish this race out.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's going the right way for him at the moment, though. I think he's more likely to finish outside of it at this point, to be honest with you. He is dropping down and down and down here. Big bit of defence there. Williams moving a little bit late as well there, which Thomas Rigier might not be too really pleased with. Outside line through Lutfield now. He's not going to get anywhere, but that was a little bit late in the day there from Jack Williams.
Yeah, getting a bit antsy, I think, at the moment, isn't it? But you can only be throwing away a potential 11th place or a 10th place at the moment there. You can end up going all the way from the sub-penthouse to the outhouse if you make a mistake like that, gentlemen. But they're racing drivers. You know that. They're not going to listen to us. They're just going to if-gap car.
Absolutely they are, especially in these final couple of laps of the race. Just 2 to go now. It looks like Lizen is going to take a comfortable win here, but who is going to finish in 2nd place? Jakub Olszewski or Yunus Amau? Who's going to finish in 4th? Is it going to be Badin Ian or Andy Flint? 5 seconds down the road, by the way, is Robert Ridgway. We haven't spoken very much of today, but 6th place. And he is going to fall out of championship contention this afternoon as a result of everything that's going on further down. Tony Jimenez is starting to get into situations here where he can eliminate Dennis Cornu here tonight and put himself right on the edge of maybe eliminating Jakub Olszewski as well. There comes Koji Ito through on the inside line and can't get through. Thomas Rigier is seeing this race go the wrong way for him right now.
Yeah, he almost... so clever driving there from the Japanese driver. He had to lift off there at the moment because he got squeezed, really. Essentially, there was nowhere to go. He would have been on that bollard and he would have been flying up through the air. It's all heating up at the moment here, back in this P12, 13th place or so, as the gap between Andy Flint and Ajan is still, give or take, he's fighting for it. He's got a couple of laps now to see if he can get a final overtake. I think ML might be a little bit too far away from Jacob unless he sends a late plunge, or, of course, if Jacob Belaski makes a mistake.
This is the most promising I think it's been for Flint, though, in a while. He might want to strike now while there's not much time remaining. I don't think Yunus Amal's going to be able to strike for 2nd place, so this is going to be the battle, I think, for those positions inside the top 5 late on. Flint has managed to stay as close as he has done for a little while here, but is it close enough? Bandanayan has been strong through that section, and now he's weaving around as well to break the slipstream. It's going all right as well as far as breaking the slipstream goes. Almost losing traction there on the hanger straight as they're weaving around. Flint is going to stay close through Stoke Corner here, or is he? He's not really in towards that chicane. My goodness, you need to be very, very close to actually effectively make a move here in a 2-driver group like this. And so far, Andy Flint hasn't been able to do that as they see the white flag now.
It's a good exit here. As you can see, the tyres slipping and sliding at the rear end. And actually, you see a little bit of the burnt rubber as well, too, that gets laid down. So that's it. There's still that battle brewing here at the moment. Well, I wanted to kind of stick with these drivers. We've told you about choreographing your overtakes, okay? So we've only got one camera at a time here. Just wanted to see if there's any situations that are going here well with the Frenchman just on damage limitation.
Oh no!
It's gone from worst to worst now, isn't it? Yeah. I kind of knew that was going to happen.
A very bad day, and there you go. He drops even further down now. Might even be behind Jimenez by the end of that. As he gets back going again, and he well, no, he's not. Yeah. Fernandez is going to go off the right though, and Jimenez is going to just slip through there. Was there something going on there with Jimenez? Did he lose a second or so?
No,
certainly something going on with Pablo Fernandez.
Yeah. Pablo went off the track there, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh yeah. That wasn't Jimenez having trouble particularly, although he might have had a half spin. He didn't have a full one like Hernandez, and suddenly this is not looking great for Dennis Cornu. But again, we'll do the maths at the beginning of next week and tell you who's involved. It's certainly still a big lead for Jimenez, and we knew it was going to be, even though Olszewski is going to stay as close as he was at the start of the day. Now then, battle for 4th place. Is Flint close enough? Well, he couldn't get through from this distance before, and now he is the same distance as it was last lap once again here. But is Ian going to find himself in trouble here for the weaving round on the back straight? He might well do. That is pretty excessive. Meanwhile, Burgess Lezen is going to find himself in victory lane once again here. Silverstone is going to go to him as we get towards the end of this season. That's 4 different winners in 4 weeks, by the way. From Philip Ireland to Nürburgring to Manny Core in Silverstone. This week it's Lezen who's taken the race victory. Olszewski and Amal on the podium, and Ayan will hold on to 4th, although his weaving may well be argued about by Andy Flint in 5th.
Robert there, the French duo will be finishing there, and this time around there. Then Dennis will get Alex on that battle between them. He's probably one of the biggest gainers, at least in the top 10 there. And then Tasky will 3 positions gain behind him, and then O'Cherry and Koito will be finishing out there. Biggest gainer there from O'Cherry as well too. 18 positions gain on that one, so not bad at all.
We always see some fantastic big movers up the field. Trinado and Fernandez are going to give a good finish here over the line as well. Though it looks like Trinado's just going to come across the line in the background in front there in 18th. There's Tony Jimenez, though, 17th for him. I mean,
last minute take each other out
over the line. Oh dear. Well, it's all after the race, so it's all fun and games. But there you go. Jimenez finishes in 17th position. The maximum points amount of points he can lose in the last 2 races is just 20, and so that's what you need to be within to succeed, or at least be in contention to succeed in the final 2 rounds of this championship.
And well, there he is, isn't he? Just done everything right there for the 160 machine here from Central Eastern Europe. I'm not quite sure. Wait to let us know where he is from in Central Eastern Europe. There's quite a few countries in that neck of the woods. Is he out of fuel? He's just coasting along on his victory lap. Is that the first race win for him?
Sorry. It is this season. Yeah, it is first win this season. As I say, multiple race winners now in the last 4 weeks. We've had 4 different ones. And as far as I can see, this is first race this season for Boris Lezen, but that might be just because I'm not searching in the correct way for his previous results. But as far as I'm aware, that's his first result this season. And it's a fantastic one for him as well. Let's have a look at the race results at the end of 25 laps of racing here from Silverstone. And it will show that Boris Lezen has taken the race victory. It was a lights to flag victory as well, a very comfortable one here at Silverstone. Jakub Olszewski ended up holding off Yunus Amal with relative ease at the end. Badin Ayan might well come under the hour of race control for weaving around for that 4th position, but he does finish ahead of Andy Flint, with Robert Ridgway just outside the top 5. Dennis Cornu in 7th place will be on the edge as to whether his championship hopes are still alive, with Alexis de Klerk, Shaq Willems and Mehmet Chashi also in the top 10. Linus Sherry finished 11th ahead of Koji Ito, who was 3 seconds ahead of Nguyen, and just a second or so ahead of Jan Masharunga. Then Thomas Ruggier down to 15th after running pretty well in the early part of the race. Further down into the bottom half of the field, it's 16th place for Eddie Amos, with Tony Jimenez in 17th, Abel Trinado 18th, with Pablo Fernandez just the last driver with inside a minute of the win. Adam Townsend rounds out the top 20 with Dorian Arroyo, Adrian Pasky, Mark Levy and Mark Distelli, the last drivers on the lead lap. Patrick Williams finished 10 laps down after retiring early, as did a few of the others. Clark Williams 8 laps before him. And I believe that might be it down the back end of the field. Well, that was a good race here at Silverstone. Sets us up nicely with 2 weeks to go. The big story, championship leader Tony Jimenez, who hasn't finished outside the top 5 all season, finishing way down the order in that one.
Yeah, and just an unfortunate situation, with Kevin getting into him, and I'm sure Kevin's already did apologise, of course, into the chat there, but I'm sure he'd be sending a personal apology there to Tony Jimenez. It's just the way that the racing goes sometimes, the bar bites you and sometimes you bite the bar in this case at the moment, but you've got to capitalise it, and drop weeks, once again, you said, can come into effect there, but with he needs a good result, obviously, in Bathurst, and he could secure the championship.
Absolutely. Well, let's see how it goes next week, of course, in another round of the iGPFun Super Formula Lights League in Season 2 of 2025. We'll be back in 7 days' time here on the JP YouTube channel. Same time, same place for the next round of this championship. From Bathurst, but from me, Ewan O'Leary, and Biggles alongside me, it's goodbye from Silverstone, and we'll see you again very soon. Goodbye for now.